with integrity and just kind of being able to maintain that confidence in ourselves and the decision that we're making.
Warning, the following presentation is intended for mature audiences. It includes stigma topics like sex, addictions, mental illness, adult dialogue, and strong language. Viewer discretion is advised. We have Daria Sambey here. She is an online fitness and nutrition coach, and I'm so excited because she's just all things wonderful. So before we get started, because she is doing self-discipline, I just want you to introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Daria. As Sam said, I am an online nutrition and fitness coach. Kind of wants to disassociate and kind of disprove that health and nutrition has to be cumbersome and difficult and miserable, that women aren't supposed to be strong and powerful and independent. And whenever Sam asked me to do this, it kind of came at such a perfect time, because one of my favorite things to do is empower women to be confident in doing the things that they believe women maybe aren't meant to do, or that they feel uncomfortable doing through, weight training and taking back our power and control over our bodies. So that's kind of my whole gist. And when Sam asked me to talk about empowerment and motivation and self-discipline, I call myself the anti-motivation queen. So it was kind of a really funny segue to talk about what I believe in, because I don't believe in motivation. And there are other ways to stay disciplined and on track with your goals without relying on this motivation buzzword that kind of likes to get thrown around out there.
Yes, I love that. Thank you for sharing. Ladies, if you're hopping on the live, please say hello. Hi, Hope. How are you, gorgeous? And if you have any questions for Daria, put them in the comments, because if we have time at the end, we will be answering some questions. But seriously, I love you so much. I love everything you stand for. And I remember just one post that you had back when COVID was hitting really hard, and you're like, don't get hard on yourself for gaining weight, because our weight is like meant to fluctuate all the time. And like, we just need to be more reminded about that. And I love that so much. So you're just so authentic and real. And I love you.
I love you. Thank you. I want women to know like what you're all about, and being confident in your body and understanding what's normal for our body, and kind of just know what to expect whenever we're going through this movement. And we can be confident and empowered in all different stages of our journey and what we're going through and where our body's at and all the changes that it's going to go through.
Of course, 100%. Yeah, like our body is constantly changing as we get older. And I mean, I was like a nutrition and fitness coach in the past, and I remember in school that it's like, yeah, when you get older, like your metabolism slows down and your body changes. And like when you have a baby, like your body's completely different now. So for you to help like teach women about that is amazing. And just to remind them that it's like, your body's beautiful just the way it is. Daria, why do you believe it's important for women to build their confidence?
Many reasons. But for me, the most important thing is independence and reclaiming our power. And whenever we feel confident in one area of our life, whether it's our body or our relationship or our friendships or our career, that confidence just branches out and touches and kisses and blesses every other thing in our life. So if you want to be independent and powerful and following your dreams, even if that fear is there, even if that kind of little bit of self-doubt and questioning is there, being able to build up your confidence and do things with the full belief that you are a whole independent woman or person who is able to accomplish everything that you want, and just watching how that touches every part of your life, how much your ability to grow and the opportunities that show up for you whenever you start looking for them, and welcoming challenges and fear and hardship, knowing that you can conquer through them, and just completely watching how your life is going to transform. Anything that you thought wasn't possible for you is 100% possible for you. And I've seen this through my strength coaching. Like one woman who I was lucky enough to be coaching locally didn't think she could pick up a bar. She's like, I don't know if I can even lift this. Like, I've never done this before. I don't know. She was full of self-doubt. I met her at the gym, and she went from deadlifting the 45-pound bar to 155 pounds that same day and the same rep. And she couldn't believe it. She's like, I didn't know I had this strength inside of me. Like, I didn't know this was possible. And she was holding herself back in her life so much because she thought she was weaker and incapable of so much than she was able to. And then seeing that snowball into how she took her career, she started her own business, she started showing up in her life a lot more presently, because it's like, what else has she been holding back on? And the same is with everyone. You find that one thing that just kind of cracks open the eggshell, and you're like, oh, like I can do this now. What else can I do? And it starts getting you to ask those questions of what else is possible, instead of asking, why can't I do that? You know?
Oh my gosh. Yes. I love that example so much. Thank you for sharing that, because I've seen that in like other people as well. I mean, I love your example that she's like, I don't even know if I can do this. And it's like, girl, you went from lifting the bar at 45 pounds to like, I think you said 140,
155 pounds.
And it's like in the same day. And it's like, okay, that's amazing. And then, like you said, like she did all these other things, started her own business. It's like that one thing just built up her confidence immensely for her to go after so many other things in different areas of her life. And that is amazing. And that's why I wanted to create this summit and like share these like success stories, because it's like you do one thing to build your confidence in one area, then girl, you can show up confidently in so many different areas of your life and build this most amazing life for yourself. So that's amazing.
Yeah, it just shows the true potential that's inside all of us, that we just kind of need to get through that fear and tap into, and then it's just like
What is the most confident thing that you've done, Daria?
Oh God, there's a lot. So I don't know if I can pick just one thing, but the most memorable thing for me, or the first thing that was kind of the catalyst of all of this for me, was probably going to college for aircraft maintenance, because it was something that no one expected or saw me doing. Everyone thought it was going to be like a lawyer or a makeup artist, or like everyone had all these other plans for me. And it was kind of the first step I took into creating my own path and going into an industry that not a lot of people expected me to go into, that was 99% male dominant. I was one of 10 women out of a campus of over 100 people. So it was definitely a very kind of scary but aligned step for me to take. It took a lot of confidence, and there was a lot of uncertainty. It was something like, I've never worked on an airplane before. Like, what business did I have doing any of this, right? But I followed my heart and soul. It was something that I wanted to do and that I wanted to learn. And I was scared and I had no experience, but my confidence in my own abilities and my assurance in my mental strength and my intelligence and my capability got me through. Ended up being an honor roll, ended up getting a job with the government in aircraft maintenance right away. It just kind of led me into like, I can do this. And I don't care if people say that it's the unusual route, or that I'm not going to be able to keep up, or that I'm only going to get hired because I'm a woman. Like, I didn't let all those other external voices bring me down. I had faith in my ability, and it brought me to where I am today, because it was just that, having that complete assurance in myself, despite what other people are saying, that led me to start my own business, to join and be a competitive powerlifter, to start a family, to kind of take all these other aligned steps that I never thought possible for myself.
Yes. Oh my God. Like, fuck gender roles. Like, I want to be an aircraft like mechanic. That's fucking awesome. Oh my God.
It was so fun.
I love that. When is a time that you got off track, and how did you navigate through that, like with your self-discipline?
I think I can relate to a lot of people here. Whenever COVID hit, honestly, has been like the most recent. So I competed at nationals as a powerlifting athlete on March 6th, I think. And the next week was whenever everything got shut down, whenever all the gyms got shut down, whenever everything. So coming off the high of competing at such a high level event and having all of these goals and aspirations to get back into training, to set new PRs, to plan my next competitions, taking that high and then realizing that my gym was getting shut down and I'd have no way to train for an indefinite amount of time was probably the biggest low that I'd experienced in a very long time in terms of my own motivation and discipline, because I kind of became a very competitive person, and I was always training for that next competition. So I always had that end goal that I was working towards. It was always that next competition, that next meet, that next PR, right? So I really had to learn and use my trainings that I tell other people to do, to not be so focused on those goals. And I let myself have that grieving period of like, I wasn't really doing a lot of workouts at home. It wasn't what I wanted to be doing. Instead of being so focused on the end goal, allowing myself to deviate a little bit and create a new goal, create a sub goal that will give me purpose, that will make training exciting and fun while still being feasible at the time. So we started doing like endurance style training. I used to run Spartan races, so we started doing more of that training while we could. We eventually ended up ordering equipment to work out at home, but it was just, I find so many people get so fixated on that proverbial finish line, on reaching the top of the mountain, that whenever life gets in the way, we can't possibly figure out how to go from there if something happens. Like I'm a type A personality. I like to have backup plans. So like for me to be able to quickly adjust and be like, okay, like I can't do powerlifting right now, but I understand the type of person that I am and the type of energy I need to be in to stay focused and to understand the benefits that's going to come. So I created a new goal, something that's still going to benefit me, something that still feels good and positive and I can do with my family. And it worked for me and it kept me very positive and it kept me in that kind of on mode without letting myself get so discouraged that that one end goal didn't happen. And we talk about that in aviation a lot as well, is you never set your course in a straight line. You allow for 10% deviation in either way, right? So it's just allowing yourself that deviation and realizing that your body is always going to be there, that life is always going to be there. Fluctuations change, shit happens, and allowing yourself to have that grieving process, but not sitting in it. Finding something new, problem solving, get yourself moving towards something again. Because again, I don't believe in motivation. I believe in momentum. And it's those little baby steps, those little things you can change, the new things you can implement that's going to build up and snowball and snowball and snowball. And eventually you could be farther than you ever thought, based on if you had just focused on that one goal with so much tunnel vision that you didn't allow for life to happen around you. So that was kind of my most recent bout of oh shit moments. I need to change something. And I think that hit a lot of people this year, whether it's business, family life, money, fitness, everything. We kind of had to pivot this year. And it's been the biggest thing for me.
Of course. I know a lot of people that were like, oh, my gym's closing, I'm not going to work out at all. And then there's you. I see you on Instagram and Facebook. You're like pulling your van with a rope and your husband like, cheering you on. And I'm like, hey, that's like marriage goals right there. Me being the relationship coach. I'm like, yes, like my hubby's doing that for me. And then you also like built like a bench press outside. And I was like, you
squat rack. Yeah. You make it happen. You do. We got all that lumber for free for the squat rack too. It was just like the universe provided, right? We went out looking for it. It came to us, built a squat rack. And we just, I think if the goal's worthwhile, then you'll find a way to make it happen. And I'm all about setting goals that set you up for success and not failure. And so many of the times we think we have this goal that we think is going to be really great for us. But if it gets derailed and you completely forget about it the second something bad happens, I don't think there's anything wrong with you. It just maybe wasn't the right goal for you. And I love to work through that process and asking people why they actually want something and kind of get past that surface level wanting the goal and kind of get down into the deeper root personal emotional reasons why we want it. And then you're kind of set up for success. You're not going to want to fail. You're not going to let yourself fail.
Totally. Yeah, like once you get beneath that like surface level why, and they're like, oh well, I want to lose weight to feel better. Okay, well why? And like you keep asking them why until they're like, oh well, like I want to feel really good and have all this energy so I can play with my kids and I can have a better quality of life so I can see my kids grow up. And it's like, okay, there it is. And then it's like, they become passionate about that and then nothing's going to derail them. But unless they like figure that out, then they don't have that passion. They don't have that drive to stay self-disciplined to their purpose to like get that done. Right.
Yeah. I've always said if one thing gets you to fall off the wagon, there's nothing wrong with you. Just get a new fucking wagon. Like clearly that wasn't the wagon for you. You just got to get a better wagon.
Yes. I totally saw that post and I was like, girl, yes.
Yeah.
Totally resonate with that.
Yeah. Set yourself up for success, people. It's not hard. It's really fucking important. And I'm sorry, I'm swearing. I can't stop.
No. Swear all you want. Whatever you want. I love it. What is the toughest part of being self-disciplined?
I think it could be if you're self-disciplined and you're not surrounded by people that support you in that, or people that might still have codependent relationships with you or with other people that might see your dependence and self-guidance as vanity, as leaving some people behind, and just kind of people not understanding what your purpose is or why you're doing something, or thinking that if you're not doing it their way, that you're doing it wrong. And just kind of a lot of those external influences, I think, can be the hardest part, especially when it's family or relationships. Like, I'm sure you've probably had clients who are like, my fiance does, or like my boyfriend or girlfriend don't understand like why I'm doing, or I don't feel supported by them, right? It can be really, really hard. And I think that's just where confidence and openness and just healing yourself comes in, where if you feel confident as a whole and you feel confident in your purpose and your goal, and you understand that what you're doing is for a bigger purpose, then you can understand the outside voices, you can give them a place to be held, but not let them influence the decisions you're making for your life, and just kind of see what happens, and let them kind of rise at their own pace with you if that's something that you so choose for your life and it's something that they choose for you. But I don't think for me I have any personal problems with being self-guided. It's just understanding that people might not feel the same or have the same beliefs as I do, and that's okay. And I can have people in my life that don't necessarily understand what I do, and we can still hold space for each other in one way or another. And for me, that's either been through fitness goals, though people know that I'm just a power lifter and that's how it's going to be. And through business goals, I think a lot of the women watching this are probably in business in one way or another. And there's a lot of people that don't understand what we do in the online space, that don't think it's viable or with integrity, and just kind of being able to maintain that confidence in ourselves and the decision that we're making is really, really, really important, because it can feel very lonely if you don't allow yourself to have some form of support and some form of surety with what you're doing.
100%. I've had clients and potential clients that they're like, oh, like I really want to do this, or I really want to work with you, or whatever it is. They go to their partner, their husband, boyfriend, whatever it is, they don't support them, and they're like, oh, well, I'm not doing it anymore. And I'm like, okay, well, it just shows how they have all this importance on someone else's opinion, and they value like their own purpose as much as what someone else thinks. And I'm like, girl, I want you to live for you and make choices for you. And it's so tough, like you said, like if they don't have that support, that can be like that one thing that just like gets them completely off the wagon. And that's like, you're like, girl, get a new wagon.
New wagon. Yeah, get some support then. There are so many like avenues to find support, even if it's not in your personal day-to-day life. Like, we live in 2020. There is the internet. I've made some best friends through this process of just being online, right? Like, there is support for you. There are other opinions for you. So if your family and people are just so set in their ways, instead of, being consumed by that, go seek other people who want the same thing as you, and get their opinions, and then share that with your family. If it's really important for you to have their support, talk about what this is going to do for you. Talk about what it's done for other people, and do it for yourself, and let you be the guiding light. And a lot of the times they'll come around and be like, oh wow, like this has worked really well for you, and you're a whole new person and you're really confident. But it is that initial step of, oh shit, I'm doing this without the support of people around me, that can be really scary, and it's always worth it.
It is totally worth it. What advice or encouragement would you give to someone struggling with self-discipline right now?
So I think, honestly, I am a huge proponent of taking baby steps and starting small. So I would think it would just be to find that one thing that you can manage to do. That one thing that you've been screaming, whether that's going to the gym by yourself, whether it's going to the gym at all, whether it's, like saying no to going out for supper and learning how to cook, whether it's, taking this art class that you've always wanted to take, whether it's watching a free video on starting your own business. Like, make sure it's very, very manageable, very, very accessible for you, and just stretch yourself that little bit. Kind of dip your toes into that person that you want to be, into why you want to do what it is you're wanting to do, and kind of discipline yourself, and don't rely on other people, and just kind of sit with yourself. One of my favorite things to get people to do is to spend time completely alone. So with no external influences, with no people, and just come into yourself and see what you want, what's missing from your life, what you want to do, and then kind of see what you can do with that and have it be manageable and accessible for your life. And then, like I said before, like those baby steps are going to snowball into bigger decisions, into bigger changes in your life. And that's really all you got to do is just take these tiny little bits, these tiny little steps, these tiny bites into who you want to be. And you don't need that discipline or that momentum. It's just going to become your life, and it's going to be fun, and it's going to be enjoyable. Because I think a lot of people have this kind of negative connotation with discipline, where they think it has to be like lonely or isolated or structured or serious, where really it's just what you do to reach your goals, right? And the aligned actions you take to reach your goals, and it's allowed to be fun. And if it's not fun, if you're dreading doing the things you need to do, then chances are something has to change, right? So I think it would just be baby steps and rewiring the way you believe and the way you approach certain things, and do things that light you up. And then you don't need discipline or motivation or any of these other things that you think you need. You'll kind of propel yourself.
100%. That is yet another reason why I created this summit, is because like this is just like a little baby step. It's a free event, and you can show up whenever you want to either like the live interviews or catch the replays, and you get like 16 amazing freebies when you sign up for the summit, which we will talk about a little bit later. But it doesn't cost them a dime. It just costs them their time, and just for them to show up for themselves, which is like a little baby step. And it doesn't cost them any money to join the summit. Like you said, like it's so underrated to listen to your intuition and be like, hey, well, like what's coming up for me? Like, what do I really want? And having that intentional alone time to figure that out.
It's my favorite. I got really used to it because I traveled for work and stayed in hotel rooms by myself. And it's when the most growth happened for me, when I had no external influences and could really just come to terms, whether I wanted to or not, with what was going on in my life, what wasn't serving me, and kind of where I needed to go to feel purposeful and confident in my life. And that's changed so many times. Like the one thing you have to do at one point probably isn't going to be the same thing you're going to need to do a year down the line. Like I'm not in aviation anymore. At the time, that was what I needed to do. And then that's grown and that's evolved. So we just need to make sure we're open to all these new adventures that are going to come into our life and not shut them down.
Yes. Being open is so huge.
Yeah. It sounds easy, but it's hard when you've been conditioned and closed in for a really long time.
100%. Hi, Christine. Hi, Lene. How are you gorgeous ladies doing? How can women build their confidence through self-discipline?
So I think we've pretty much covered that a lot. I think it all comes down to independence. And independence for me, and like being a confident woman, doesn't mean shutting people out. It doesn't mean feeling like you have to do everything yourself. I think it just comes down to understanding the power and potential you have, and the fact that if you put your mind to something, you know you can accomplish it, and then being able to focus that energy into doing the things that bring you joy. So one of my favorite things to say is, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And understanding the things that bring you joy and the things that bring purpose into your life, being independent, but allowing kind of the universe and the people around you to serve alongside you with what it is that you need, and having those people in your corner while not relying on them. Like having that positive output, having that assurance in yourself that everything is solid, everything happens for a reason, that I am on a purpose, I am growing every single day, I'm learning every single day, and making sure you're constantly stretching yourself and never allowing yourself to get complacent with your day-to-day life. I think things should be fun. I think things should be really enjoyable, but I don't think things should always be comfortable. So always going, always learning new things, always taking advantage of new opportunities, always taking jumps, even if there's no given outcome, and just learning and expanding and growing as a person, while not letting experiences harden you or shut you out. I think confidence is huge, and self-discipline and just allowing people to come to you, it ends up creating a really beautiful aura where people want to come into your space, because you've been disciplined, you've done the work, you've expanded, and now you want to share that with people. And your energy is just going to be so vibrant that people are going to want to be in your space, and they're going to feel blessed and touched to be around you. And all of that comes through learning and growing and experiencing, and just kind of having that like wild woman energy that makes people want to be around you, right? So I think it changes everything. Like self-discipline and growing and being independent changes everything in your life. And it doesn't have to take a lot of energy or a lot of money when it's something that you actually want to do.
I agree that like the journey is, there's going to be ups and downs, like regardless of what you do, but enjoying the journey. Like you said, not letting certain experiences like harden your heart, because like you could work with a coach and it could be an awful experience, but if you like let that get in your way, then you would never ever hire a coach, and then you would continue to struggle to get these results that you've been wanting because you refuse to hire a coach, rather than, like you said, getting past that, moving on, and finding a coach that really resonates with you to then have a better experience and actually like get the results that you're looking for.
Yeah, we can't be so dependent on our experiences. Whoa, why'd that light die out? I told you I'm haunted. My ring light just randomly died on me. But we can't let these negative experiences hinder our foresight into what we want or stop us from getting on track with our goals. It's a moment to learn, to understand, to do better, and then keep on going with where we're going, and keep doing what we need to do. And I think we've all had experiences with like less than what we expected coaches, or like anything certain. We've been in less than desirable relationships, less than desirable coaching relationships, and everything like that. But if you let those bad experiences stop you from your goal, then where are you going to be? You're going to be stuck in the past instead of moving forward, right? And just knowing that opportunity is wherever we want it to be, and just being able to take that next step forward and swallow our pride, swallow our ego, understand that shit happens, and just anything is in front of you if you actually let it happen. And so much of the time we just don't let things happen. We shut them out. We argue with them. We don't believe that we're worthy of them, and we miss out on all these really, really beautiful things that are in front of us.
Daria, is there anything else that you want to touch on before we kind of wrap things up on self-discipline or anything like that?
One thing I would kind of like for people to do in terms of self-discipline and just kind of working through the idea of motivation, and Sam and I kind of touched on this earlier, with being self-disciplined. Obviously there's something we're working towards, or somewhere we want to go, and being the anti-motivation queen, I kind of want you to work through an exercise every time you get really excited and think there's like a goal that you want, or you see something that you're really inspired by, is keep a hold and like harness that excitement. But then do what Sam and I said, and just really ask yourself like, why? Like every time you answer, ask yourself why, and do this like 5 more times. And I want you to write it down every single time and read back your answers and see what they do for you. Are they feeling genuine? Are they feeling exciting? Are they feeling like maybe they are regurgitated external reasons that you're giving yourself for why you want something? And just really kind of break this down and restructure this goal into being something that you want and that is really going to expand and benefit your life. There's a reason I don't call myself a weight loss coach. I strictly focus on nutrition, fitness, and strength and confidence. And 99% of women who come to me want to lose weight. But very, very quickly, the conversation shifts from them telling me they want to lose 10 pounds to what that's going to do for them, what their stress levels are like, what their sleep habits are like, what their relationships are like, what their family life is like. And it gets to be a very, very emotional conversation as we break down these root causes. But every single one of them ends up succeeding and then some, because once you get down to that root cause, then you don't need motivation. Then you're not waking up one day like, oh, how am I going to do this? I slept in, or feeling guilty over every single time that you feel like you've fallen off. And just having these methods in place and having these assurities and this excitement and this love for the journey that's going to get you to keep back up, that's going to keep you moving even on those days that you don't feel good, or not beating yourself up for getting there a bit slower than you maybe intended or expected to get. So just give yourself a lot of patience, give yourself a lot of confidence and integrity with where you're going, and always think about the big picture. It's so easy for us to get so tunneled in on what we need to do to reach there, but there's so much more going on around us that's going to influence how we get there, the time it takes, what's going to happen to us, and if you're actually going to be satisfied at that finish line, or feeling empty and defeated for what you had to take away from your life to get there. So just make sure you're staying fulfilled, make sure you're staying very, very supported and excited about what it is you're wanting to do.
Thank you again for touching on the whole motivation piece, because I believe motivation is like complete myth. It's just bullshit. And ultimately, when it comes down to it, you replace motivation with self-discipline, determination, and passion. And that's what's gonna have that drive for you to do the things that you want.
Exactly. Yeah, passion is definitely a huge one. And that's why I love kind of, like I said, like getting away from those external voices because they're so easy to be consumed by, and just really do what makes you feel good and what you're excited about. Like I have some people that love strength training. I have some people that like running track and doing burpees. And it's like that's what we need to focus on, right? Is if that's the type of stuff they enjoy, then that's what we need to do despite what other people are saying. And just staying positive and assured in the fact that your heart and your brain, like they're not going to steer you wrong if you actually start to trust them. And just re-establishing that trust with our body is so important.
Well, thank you so much. This conversation has been beautiful and I like love you to pieces, but